differences between the replicas. I own Rolexes, and so I bought one that I currently have.
Identified the best 10 questions in my field. Better.
That's probably because you don't pop it like that. How old are you?
I'm a 24. I'm 24. I pop perks.
Are you glad I pop perks?
Yeah.
He's proud of that.
Yeah.
Still pop
The universe, or God, or with what, or like I feel like I don't want.
Take a shot for me.
I'm about to take a shot, and I haven't even drank today yet. I got Douce and tequila.
Drinking.
All right, so we taking shots or what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, come on. I got Douce.
818.
My purpose is I want it.
So it was an impulse buy?
Goddesses and stuff like that, these are just pre-existing beings, just like we're going to die in 100 years from now, we're going to go into another estate. So I would say there's proof for...
Let me pull it up. Hold on. Let me pull up the Indian or the native. Father,
No, he didn't get in a fight. He just knocked his teeth out.
Conception is that what we're really talking about here is the text of the Quran, and the so-called challenge is that it can't be reproduced, and whatever that means, right? But yeah, no, I understand your point, and in one sense, I agree, I guess.
We're controlling the border. This is why Trump had to bring down the military. You think it's the cartels in Mexico, but who's working with the cartels? It's the deep state players. And this is why we have to bring the military in, put them into place, because we're fighting against an internal enemy. Remember, it's infiltration from within. And that is what Trump is doing right now. Rapid Response 47 put this out and said, Secretary Burgum transfers administrative jurisdiction over nearly 110,000 acres of federal land along the U.S.-Mexico border to the U.S. Army over the next 3 years. We're up against a real enemy here. We need to make sure the border is secure. So who are we fighting? Remember, infiltration from within. It's the deep state intel personnel. They're at the border. They're the ones who are bringing in the drugs. They're the ones who are trafficking. They're the ones doing all of this. Let's go back to post 1009. This is April 4th, 2008. Troops to the border, clown black ops, private funds, raised how? Troops at border does what? Impact to who? D's involved, MS-13 illegals, roadblock, sex traffic, roadblock, children, roadblock, drugs, roadblock, guns, roadblock. The wall means more than you know. The fight for the wall is for so much more. And now it's all making sense, and you can see the truth now. Now, the other thing that we could see is that as Doge continually uncovers the money laundering, the kickbacks, and reduces government in size, we could see that the deep state players, they were pushing their foot soldiers to firebomb Tesla dealerships, having other crazies go out and break windows, key the cars, slash tires. And what's very interesting, since Cash and Pam Bondi have been arresting these individuals and putting these people behind bars, because the Teslas have cameras and people are reporting them very, very quickly, you know what's happening? It looks like the firebombers of the Tesla dealerships, the vandals that were keying and puncturing the tires, it seems the attacks have slowed quite a bit, hasn't it? And maybe in some places even stopped. You know what? You F around, you find out. This is not Biden's administration. It's not Obama's administration. When Trump says, and his team says, we're going to be going after you, you can rest assured you're going to be arrested. And I'm sure these people are sitting there going, holy crap, why did I do this stupid thing? especially those people that are, walking by the cars with their children, those people that have families, and they let the news actually convince them, and the D's convince them that this is the right thing to do. And look where they are now. Most of them are in prison, and they're attacking their own party. How did that work out for them? Not too well. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that the Department of Government Efficiency, they've given an update on credit cards. And what they've come to find out is that there is twice as many credit cards that are issued and active than the total number of government employees. Why would that be? Ooh, money laundering 101. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that Cash is no longer the acting director of the ATF. And the ATF, they forced out its second-in-command deputy director, Marvin Richardson, and replaced him with a career government agent, Robert Cicada. Now, Richardson, a 35-year veteran of the agency, was reportedly given the choice, resign or be removed. And Cicada's appointment has drawn immediate scrutiny from the MAGA movement, who questioned whether his extensive background in regulatory enforcement signals a more aggressive approach to targeting lawful gun owners. But you have to remember, Cicada's appointment comes after U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll was tapped as the new acting director of Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, replacing the FBI Director Kash Patel. So let's see how this all plays out in the end, and let's see who takes over the ATF and who's in that position. Because once again, I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they know exactly who's who, and sometimes it takes a little time to get around to get rid of some of these people, and sometimes it takes a little while to get rid of those people that are pretending that they're with you, but they're really not, and they're just sleepers waiting to be activated. And we can see this in the Pentagon, which we'll be getting to in just a sec. But the other thing that we could see is that Trump now is refusing $50 billion agreement with Ukraine and will not sell Kiev the Patriot air defense system and missiles, which means Zelensky is in a lot of trouble right now. Remember, this is not the Biden administration anymore. This is Trump. So Zelensky is going to have a very difficult time pushing Trump around and trying to get money like he did with Biden, which means Zelensky's most likely going to push false flag events with the deep state players. And we talked about this a couple days ago. And we know that Putin is standing by, and he knows that there are rogue deep state players within Ukraine, and they're going to try to start a war. And you're going to see that Putin doesn't really react the way he was before, because I do believe they probably have a deal with Trump, where Trump is now tracking down these individuals and trying to stop them. But when we talk about leakers and we talk about those people that are now being exposed, we can see it's happening in the Pentagon, and it looks like 3 people have been escorted out of the Pentagon. Laura Loomer put this out and said, Dan Caldwell, one of the top advisors for U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, was escorted out of the Pentagon today after being identified during an investigation into leaks at the Department of Defense. You recall Dan Caldwell was listed as the point of contact for the DOD in Mike Walt's 47 Signalgate chat. He has since locked down his X account. Then we have another individual. This is Deputy Chief of Staff Darren Selnick, and he has been walked out of the Pentagon because of internal leak investigation, and it looks like he might be connected to the Signal chat scam that they were trying to push. And then there's a third individual, right now not confirmed, but Colin Carroll, Chief of Staff to Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg. This person allegedly was also walked out of the office. So when we start to look at these different agencies, we come to understand that there are certain individuals in there that are going, or that are still working for the deep state players, and they're going to do whatever they possibly can to derail anything that Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard is trying to do, because these people need to be removed. And it's not that simple to find them, because again, if they're sleepers and they're saying, no, I'm all for you, I'm with you, they're lying to your face, how do you get rid of them? I know that Kristi Noem and Tulsi Gabbard, they're going to be doing some lie detectors to see if they can detect who's with them and who's against them. But once again, this is a very, very big task. And I do believe in the end, they're going to clean house, because a clean house is very, very important, especially when we're going to move to the next phase once we get control of the House and Senate. Because once we do that, I do believe that will give Cash, Pam Bondi, Tulsi, Kristi Noem, Ratcliffe time to clean up their agency so we can move to the next phase. Now, the other thing that we could see is the deep state players, they're pushing forward with their pandemic accord. And WHO members agreed to the draft text of the pandemic accord. And this is coming from Tedros. So he's letting everyone know that the nations of the world have come together and they agreed on a draft. Now, the country that is not involved with this is the United States. And this is going to be a problem for the WHO, because remember, who actually controls the WHO? China. Who funds the WHO? Well, it was pretty much the United States. And you have to remember, the World Health Organization, they have about 194 member states that are involved with it. But the United States is not. So if they sign this whole pandemic thing and they push a pandemic, the United States does not have to go along with the WHO whatsoever, which means their entire pandemic would probably and utterly fall apart. And I don't believe they're going to be able to kick this off the ground, because what is happening right now? RFK Jr., he is now going to release information on autism. Patriots Are Control put this out and said, RFK Jr. says within 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be announcing a series of new studies that will identify the environmental toxins causing autism. So how much do you want to bet? It probably leads back to vaccines and the chemicals that they're using in vaccines. And I do believe this is the beginning of the end for Big Pharma. And this reminds me of Post 735, February 11, 2018. I'm going to read below. I'm not going to read about the cures, but think about what is said here. Chatter amongst those in control has begun. They know we know, which means the public will know. Release prior to cover-up, public informed, and collapse. Which option? So, if RFK Jr. reveals that autism is because of the chemicals in the vaccines, what's going to happen? Well, the vaccine manufacturers are going to have a very difficult time. And for many, many years, they've been coming out with studies over and over and over saying it's not the vaccines. This is going to destroy their industry. Actually, it's time to set this all straight, because they're not helping the public. They're hurting the public. And soon people are going to see the truth. And I do believe from this, you're probably going to start to realize that there were cures that they've been keeping from the people of this country, the people of the world. And I do believe in the end, this is what RFK is about to do. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is we can see that the governor of Maine, the Maine Department of Education, they're pushing back against Trump's executive order. And they're not following along, so guess what's happening? Pam Bondi, she announced a civil lawsuit against the Maine Department of Education over their dangerous and malicious refusal to protect women and girls in sports and other private spaces. She said, we have exhausted every other remedy, and now we're going to sue them. And they are going to lose because they violated Title IX. And we can see that this is going to be the beginning and the end of everything the governor of Maine was trying to do. Remember, going back to the governor's conference when Trump was speaking and he spoke to the governor of Maine, the governor of Maine said, listen, we're not going to follow what you're saying. We'll see you in court. And Trump said, good, no federal funds. We'll see you in court. Let's see how this turns out. And here we are today. But look what happened out in the UK. There was a case out there, and the judge ruled, the court ruled, the UK Supreme Court ruled that a transgender woman are not legally defined as a woman. The legal definition of a woman, the UK Supreme Court said, is based on the biological sex at birth, nothing else. The entire trans movement was just destroyed. And now it's all going to fall apart on them. Just like it's falling apart on them with what happened to the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. Because, of course, the fake news wanted to paint it like, oh, a MAGA Republican extremist is firebombing Shapiro's house. But who really was it? Well, Trump said it yesterday. It's some whack job, and it's not a MAGA person. Marina Medvin put this out and said, the Marxist psycho who torched the governor's mansion in PA did it to save Palestine and out of spite for the governor's Jewish faith. Police say they have video of him scaling the security fence surrounding the residence, using a hammer to break windows and climbing inside to throw a Molotov cocktail and start a fire. In the warrant for his devices signed Tuesday, police say the motive for the attack was perceived injustice to the people of Palestine, as well as Governor Shapiro's Jewish faith. The attack took place on Passover. Police found Che Guevara stickers in the property. So that should tell you everything you need to know. And who's responsible for all this? If you really think about it, it's all the D's, it's the fake news. They're the ones who are continually pushing violence or telling them that you need to fight back. And they should be held responsible for all of this. But I do believe in the end, they are going to be held accountable for everything that they have done to this country. And you could see the deep state, their entire system, where they cheat in the elections, it is being exposed. Charlie Kirk put this out and said, a new study has uncovered $100 million in foreign dark money laundered into the U.S. political system via the 1630 fund, pushing far-left ballot initiatives in 25 states. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's time to ban foreign election interference. Elon says, good chance that a lot of this money originates as U.S. foreign aid. That then makes its way back here via intermediaries. So Elon is letting everyone know the money is being laundered. To do what? Let's see. To cheat in the elections. The money is being laundered to push riots. The money is being laundered to give the installed politician kickbacks. Everyone now is starting to see it. And when everyone starts to see this and everyone starts to understand what's been going on, it makes more sense when you look at everything that they have done to Trump.
You did say he was broke. He couldn't pay $800 worth of rent.
That's after you was talking about her.
Hold on. Uncle, you on mute. Uncle, you on mute.
No, but I ain't gonna lie, Sonny. He did say he take care of you.
Hold on. Hey, Tsunami, is y'all on the way to his crib?
Like I said.
Facts. People run around here in their all for it, and not even like all he did was just point out a video that was on Amazon in their feels about it, and said he had to go through a whole anti-Semitic class. Facts.